there is an article that came out, and it's saying that one of Black society's biggest Black organizations, Black Lives Matter, is accusing Joe Biden of ignoring them. Now, this may come as a surprise to some, but as I said before, I am not surprised by this because, I already knew that Joe Biden didn't have the best track record with Black society, but people were just so eager to get Donald Trump out that some people did not do their homework when it came to Joe Biden. And unfortunately, like I said, there will be consequences for that. But you guys bear with me because I'm going to be reading quite a few articles tonight. They're not very long, so please just bear with me. I'm looking to provide as much information as I can, and I don't want you guys to think that I'm being biased or I'm just talking out the side of my neck. This is something that is really a cause for concern because, as I was saying, a lot of Black people was thinking that Joe Biden was going to ride up on a horse and carriage and be their savior. And that unfortunately is starting to be exposed as something that is definitely not going to take place. Now, in this brief article, the headline reads that Black Lives Matter accuses Joe Biden of ignoring their meeting request. So it says the Black Lives Matter organization is accusing President elect Joe Biden of ignoring their request for a meeting and disregarding the Black voters who helped him win. Now, a lot of people were saying that this was going to be an issue. And even some people, like I said, who voted for Joe Biden, they were a little bit skeptical, but they felt like he would be the lesser of two evils out of Donald Trump. Unfortunately, like I said, that is starting to be exposed as something that may not be the case. Now, the article goes on to say the political and social group Black Lives Matter told Fox News their request for a meeting with the Biden campaign has been ignored, and the group was noticeably excluded from a meeting between Biden, Rep. Cedric Richmond, and other civil rights groups. In the meeting, Biden complained that progressive efforts to defund the police allowed the GOP to beat the living hell out of Democrats during the 2020 election cycle. For the newly elected administration that ran on promises of racial justice to ignore our ongoing requests to meet with them and refuse us a seat at the table is demeaning to our movement. The Black Lives Matter Global Network said in a December 10th email, according to Fox, it's demeaning and hurtful to our trauma. It's demeaning to the countless times we took our protests to the streets to call for justice, our Black brothers and sisters taken from at the hands of the police. Now I'm going to stop right there because, like I said before, a lot of people saw this coming. A lot of people knew that once Joe Biden got a large number of the Black vote, that he would go MIA. And I don't know if you all can remember, but I definitely can remember the amount of heat that different celebrities and other people took for meeting with Donald Trump during the campaign cycle. Now, a lot of people were saying that, oh, after the election, Joe Biden will meet with this group and that group. Now, here it is right here in black and white. Black Lives Matter, which is probably notably the largest Black organization in this country, is looking to meet with the Biden campaign and Joe Biden, and they are being ignored. This is the words that are coming out of one of the leaders of that organization. And she is saying that it is hurtful to the organization that Joe Biden is ignoring them when the Black vote is what got Joe Biden elected. And this is not a I told you so or aha type of moment. This is just me simply saying this is why a lot of people were concerned about Joe Biden. This is why a lot of people opted to either not vote, go independent, Green Party, or whatever, because they felt like Joe Biden would be no better than Trump. And I feel like to a large extent, this is proven to be true because, like I said before, Black Lives Matter, notably the largest Black organization in this country, cannot get a meeting with Joe Biden. I'm going to jump into the comment section really quickly. And it looks like commenter Andre Hallmark Johnson says, "Why are Black people always looking for a white savior?" Oh man, if you want an answer to that, that's going to be a whole live stream within itself. Um, unfortunately, unfortunately for our community, a lot of us don't have a do for self mentality. That is what I will say to that. It's very, very unfortunate that in our community, a lot of us don't have the confidence that it takes to, see ourselves as being leaders or being in, a place as a president or someone who can run a community, a city, or whatever. And it's just very unfortunate that we don't see ourselves in a light in which we can do for ourselves and we can build our own communities so that we can choose the candidates that we want that will meet our demands. I always say, unfortunately, there is a severe lack of self esteem within Black society. And as a person that has high hopes for our community, that is something that is very, very hurtful. But unfortunately, it is true. And, that's something that we're going to have to look within the community and continue to just keep up the fight and help our people, help Black people to understand that we don't need any saviors outside of ourselves, and everything that we need is within the community. Unfortunately, a lot of us still have not grasped that. And that is basically my take on why I feel like a lot of us are constantly looking for a white savior. And thank you for your comment. Now, before I digress on Joe Biden, because Joe Biden is not an individual who I have a great deal of respect for. Joe Biden is not an individual who I feel is going to be much better for this country than Donald Trump was. I can't say 100% what he is going to do. Maybe he will do some good things for the country, but I don't have very high hopes for that because, especially as it relates to Black society, I don't really feel him, either Kamala Harris, is going to be any rush to do anything that is specific to the Black community. Because if many of you can remember, when Kamala Harris was running for president, she was asked what was her platform. She came out of her mouth and she said there isn't anything that she has on her agenda to do specifically for the Black community. So that's something that was very confusing to me when it came to Black people, too many Black people throwing their support behind Kamala Harris, because early on, when she was running for president, she let it be known that the Black agenda was not at the top of her list of importance. However, I ran into an article where she was talking about how much help and support herself as well as Joe Biden was looking to give to the Native American community. And that's something that is very, is very disheartening, but it doesn't surprise me when it comes to these officials that get the Black vote, almost undying loyalty from the Black community. But when it comes time for Black society to actually get something in return for their vote, a lot of these candidates, they run the other way and they say that there isn't anything that they can do specifically for the Black community, which is a slap in the face because, again, Black society gives a lot of support to the Democratic Party. And these Democratic candidates, they turn their backs on Black society every time. And that's why I really just don't understand why Black people continue to have so much undying support and loyalty for the Joe Biden, Kamala Harris types. Again, these people will tell the Black community right to their face that they are not going to do anything specifically for the Black community. Now, again, before I digress on Joe Biden and his campaign and Kamala Harris, there was a video that came out of Joe Biden actually sitting down with some civil rights leaders and I guess other leaders of the Black community. And in that meeting, Joe Biden came off very arrogant. He came off very aggressive. He came off as very agitated with the people that he was speaking with. And again, time again, Joe Biden is showing Black society, especially, that in my opinion, that he has a certain level of disdain for the Black community. And anytime he is asked what he is going to do, if he has any type of platform for Black society, he will make a lot of blanket statements that is not really specific to the needs of our community. And this is something that a lot of people had concerns about, again, when he was on the campaign trail. And that is why, he did get a lot of support from the Black community, but there was an uptick of support for Trump from Black voters or Black voters who just decided not to vote at all. And that is because the attitude that the Biden campaign takes when it comes to Black society. Um, so I digress on Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Again, like I said, I do feel as though Congress is going to go ahead and side with the Electoral College as well as the popular vote. I don't foresee them turning this election around in Trump's favor, but anything is possible. But it is looking like Joe Biden will be the next president of this country. And unfortunately, it's looking like Black society is going to be let down yet again by a Democratic president-elect. So again, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the pandemic because this is something that a lot of people have concerns about right now. The pandemic was looking like it was calming down a bit. And then the media came out and informed everyone that the virus is running rampant again. I'm hearing that in the UK, there's even a new strand of virus that is coming out that is more aggressive than this current virus. I believe there was a call for flights to be blocked coming in from the United Kingdom. And I'm not sure if they went ahead and went through with that, but that is what is being reported, that this new strain of virus is more aggressive. It's a lot easier to catch. And people are starting to build that fear again when it comes to the pandemic. I think a lot of people had started to let their hair down a little bit, but unfortunately now the fear is spreading again. And it looks like we're staring down the face of another uptick in cases. However, I just want to remind people to not be so fearful of the virus. Excuse me, to not be so fearful of the virus because, again, when it comes to this virus, there's a lot of things that can be prevented with common sense. And I think that's something that we all are going to have to start to depend on more and more. We're going to have to start using our common sense when it comes to this virus. Really quickly, I'm going to go ahead and jump back in the comments. It looks like another comment has come in. And this commenter is saying, no expectations, no letdown. And I believe they're referring to my comments and information about Joe Biden. And I do agree with that to a certain extent. If you don't have any expectations, then it's a lot easier for you to not be let down. But unfortunately, as I was saying before, especially when it came to Black society, there was this expectation that Joe Biden was going to be their knight in shining armor and he was going to swoop in and, go ahead and basically eliminate all the ills of Black society. And that is just not the case. Joe Biden has been a politician for several decades, and Black society is still in shambles. So I don't understand why people feel that if he didn't use his power, as part of Congress, what makes them think that he is going to use his power as president to make any type of real change within the Black community? But again, I digress on that. I don't foresee Joe Biden doing anything to really change the circumstances of the Black community. Again, this commenter says Jamaica blocked the UK today. Yes, so as you can see, um, this is getting very serious again as it relates to the virus. A lot of people may say that this is because people have been irresponsible when it comes to the virus, and that could partially be true. However, excuse me, I feel like a lot of this stuff could have been handled differently. I feel like the media hasn't been doing a very good job with this virus, except for fear mongering. And like I said before, I just really feel like that is not conducive to the public to scare the heck out of everyone. Because as many of the thoughts that you process a lot of times can create your reality. And I feel like the media has done a really good job at devastating people and just making people very, very fearful of this virus. And what people have to understand about fear is that when you're under stress and you're very fearful, sometimes you don't make the best decisions. And unfortunately, that has been a lot of what has been hurtful to people when it relates to this pandemic. Um, but I do want to get into a couple of things as it relates to the virus because, again, whether you want to call this a pandemic, a plandemic, or whatever, this is something that we are all going through together, and we are all going to have to get through this together. And like I was saying before, a lot of this is just common sense. The media won't tell people to boost their immune system. They talk about it as is something that is comical, really. And when it comes to a lot of holistic remedies as it relates to this virus, they try to sway people from looking into any type of homeopathic or holistic remedies that could really just keep your immune system boosted and could help prevent this sickness or this virus from getting into your system. But I won't get too far off into a lot of my feelings about this virus and a lot of things that I feel has took place when it relates to spreading this virus in the first place. However, I do want to get into what some of the public thinks about this virus, and what are some of the top concerns, and a few different percentages as it relates to how people feel about the virus. Now, these projections are coming to us from a company that collected data on the virus, and they asked a series of questions on how people view the virus, how they feel about Trump's response to the virus. So the first one says that the question was posed, how worried are Americans about the infection? Um, so 35.4 of the people surveyed said that they were very worried about the infection. 35.1 of the people said they were somewhat worried about the infection. 16.7 people said that they were not very worried about the infection. And 11.1 people said that they were not worried about the infection at all. So that bottom half of the people, they're very confident and they have high hopes about not getting the virus, which there's nothing wrong with that. I think that keeping a positive attitude and just not being fearful, as I said before, about catching the virus could be partially the reason why you won't catch it, because you're not internalizing that fear. Um, Now, as it relates to the economy and the virus, which has been a really hot topic with the virus, a lot of people have been concerned about the economy when it comes to the pandemic. And unfortunately, a lot of people have been hurt by the shutdowns and a lot of things that have taken place as it relates to the economy when it comes to the virus. And um, so the question was posed: how worried are Americans about the economy? And of course, over half of the people surveyed are very worried. 52.9 people are very worried about the economy, which is justified because, as I said before, with that first round of shutdowns, we've seen a lot of businesses be hurt by this. We've seen a lot of people lose jobs. And a lot of people, unfortunately, have been economically hurt by this, this pandemic situation. 32.9 people said they were somewhat worried about the economy. 9.2 people said they were not very worried about the economy. And 3.3 of the people said that they were not worried about the economy at all. Now, really quickly, my views on the economic situation as it relates to the pandemic. I feel that the economy is, it has some highs, it has some lows, it fluctuates. I do feel like shutting down the country did devastate the economy. Um, some people say that it was necessary. Some people say that it was not necessary. And when you look at the numbers, I'm really on the fence as it relates to whether or not the economy should have been shut down. I guess when you look at it from a health and safety standpoint, then maybe it should have been shut down. When you look at it from an economic standpoint, it's very obvious that shutting down the economy devastated many people. Many businesses went under. A lot of those businesses will not recover. As we can see with the movie industry has been totally devastated by the pandemic. And unfortunately, a lot of people within that industry, they are without a job. And that is something that a lot of people are upset about because they feel like if, certain members of the government would have come up with a better way to handle the virus without shutting down the economy, we would see a lot of these people still with a job. We would see a lot of these industries not going under. We wouldn't see other businesses just completely not able to recover from the economic devastation of this pandemic. And to a certain degree, I do agree with that. But again, from a safety standpoint, I guess they did what they felt like they needed to do as it relates to this virus. Either way you look at it, I guess that neither side is wrong. People feel how they feel for the reasons that they feel. And, I'm kind of neutral when it comes to that. I feel like if the economy would have stayed open, then, a lot of people would have still been working and certain industries wouldn't have went under. But again, who are we to say that that wasn't the best decision to make, especially as it relates to keeping people healthy and keeping people safe when it comes to this virus. Now, as you can imagine, when the question was posed, do Americans approve of Trump's response to the coronavirus crisis? More than half of the country said they disapprove. They do not approve of the way President Trump handled the coronavirus crisis. And What I will say to that is, I'm not in the president's shoes. I would not want to have the weight on my shoulders of making certain decisions as it relates to this virus and affecting the lives of millions of people. I just wouldn't want to have that burden on me. But Trump did not really help his case either, because as we all know, there had been recordings and different things coming out of him saying that he did not want the public to panic. So to a certain extent, he did downplay the virus. And I think that from the jump, he should have been honest. He could have found a way to be honest with the public that didn't come across as fear mongering, but basically letting the public know what we were up against, but reassuring the public that the situation would be handled to the best of, the government's ability. And I think that for the most part, a lot of people would have been able to handle that. I can't say for sure if that would have been the case, but I do think that a lot of people would have been able to handle knowing the truth about the virus and, how it would affect their lives. But unfortunately, he said he didn't want people to panic and had to downplay the virus to a certain extent. So it is quite understandable why over half of the population would feel like he did not handle this virus very well. Now, when it comes to Trump supporters, as you can imagine, the numbers are quite different. 80.8 of Trump's supporters, or I should say Republicans, um, they feel that Trump handled the pandemic pretty well. 34.6 of independents say that he handled it pretty well, and 9.4 Democrats said that he handled it pretty well. So you can see the very big gap between Republicans and Democrats when it comes to how they feel about how Donald Trump handled the virus. And on that point, I want to say something about that, because I feel like a large part of what um, has hurt the situation as it relates to the pandemic has been the divisiveness of our elected officials. I feel like there has been so much divisiveness from both sides of the aisle when it comes to this pandemic. There hasn't been, there hasn't been much that Democrats or Republicans have agreed on when it comes to this virus and the handling of it and how they were going to get aid out to the people. And that has been devastating to a large portion of society. Our leaders, in my opinion, have proven themselves to be very petty and divisive. And they have showed us that in a time of crisis, that they are going to pick arguing and pettiness over the livelihood of the people. And to me, that has been detrimental to the outcome of this virus. As we can see, it took an entire 8 months for for our elected officials in Congress to agree to another stimulus package after the devastation that has been caused to people's finances. It just has been completely mismanaged, in my opinion. And I feel like I know people in my own personal life that could have handled this pandemic better than our elected officials. Really quickly, I see that a comment has come back in, and this commenter says the media fearmongers and the president downplays. We complain about both. Well, I think there's blame to be had on both sides. Honestly, I feel like the president didn't do everything. Um, he didn't handle everything as well as he could have. Now, did he do a terrible job? No, I don't feel that he did. But I do feel like a lot of people, they put their own personal interests in front of the in front of the concerns and the safety and just the when it comes to this pandemic, I honestly feel like the people of this country were not considered to the degree that they should have been. There was too much, people worrying about their own self-interest when it comes to this pandemic. Too many people within our government who were worried about their own self-interest. And that was coming from the president and both sides of the aisle, Democrats and Republicans. Like I said, we've seen so much divisiveness in a time of crisis from both sides of the aisle. And I feel that that was grossly irresponsible. And, a lot of people, especially people like Nancy Pelosi, she likes to point fingers at the president, but she has been a large part of the holdup when it comes to getting aid to the public. And I feel like people need to remember that. I feel like there needs to be a complete overhaul of these extremely long terms for people in Congress and in the Senate. Definitely, that needs to be brought to the ballot, in my opinion, in this next election. Their terms are entirely too long. I feel like they've been sitting in these seats for decades, and they feel, there's a certain sense of arrogance when it comes to these elected officials because they know, they have been in there for so long. And a lot of them feel like their seats are secured and they're never going anywhere. And there definitely needs to be a term and a time limit put on these elected officials in Congress and the Senate. In the House and the Senate, because they're in these seats too long. And now, in a time of crisis, I honestly feel like they have shown the American people that this situation, especially as it relates to the economic side of it, was not an urgency for them. People went 8 months without another stimulus bill on the table. And now that another stimulus bill, it seems that another stimulus bill has been approved, you know, um, when it comes to the aid, the amounts of money that are being given to the people, it has been lowered. And a lot of people are upset about that, and rightfully so, because these elected officials, they act as if the public does not pay their salary. And they act as if this is some type of handout that they're giving to the people. And it's not. In a time of crisis, the people are entitled to get something from the government. But we're going to be wrapping up soon. Um, like I said before, this is the last live stream of 2020 as we go into the new year, 2021. Um, I don't know if you all have any New Year's resolutions. I'm just going to continue to do what it is that I've been doing, continuing to push forward, continuing to strive to be my best self. Um, I'm looking forward very much to the re-release of my book, Grown Little Girls. Again, I would like for everyone to go ahead and check that out at my website, shellyspeakstruth.urbancountryfilms.com. Again, that is shellyspeakstruth.urbancountryfilms.com. Please go ahead and check that out. You can also check out the Facebook page, Grown Little Girls. I'm very, very, very excited about the re-release of this book. I really feel that you all are going to enjoy this story. If you are someone who is raising a teen girl, mentoring a teen girl, have teen girls in your family that you care about, this is one that you are really going to want to check out. This is one that you are really going to want to purchase and, spread the word about this book, because this story, I feel, is going to be very, very inspirational and very helpful to a lot of the teen girls within our community and their families. So again, that is Grown Little Girls, and you can check that out on my website, shellyspeakstruth.urbancountryfilms.com. I want to wish everyone a very, very happy new year. I want everyone to stay safe. And like I said before, just be vigilant and exercise common sense when it comes to this virus, because that is what is going to get a lot of us through. You know, a lot of us, we already know what it is that we need to do. We know that we need to work on our immune systems. We know we need to keep ourselves as healthy as we possibly can. Whether you are for or against masks, I just want to encourage you to do whatever it is that you can to keep yourself safe while you're out there and interacting with the public. You know, there's no harm in staying safe, no matter where you stand with the pandemic. I think that no one wants to catch this virus. And I feel like at the end of the day, everyone needs to do whatever it is that they can to remain safe. Um, Another commenter came in and said, Happy New Year. Again, Happy New Year to everyone. I hope that you all are looking forward to a prosperous and abundant new year. I hear a lot of people saying that 2020 was just a preview for 2021. And how I feel about that is wherever you put your energy and whatever you focus on, it that is going to be the outcome that you get for 2021. You know, whatever it is that we decide to put our energy into, and wherever it is that we decide to put our mindset into, is what we are going to get. And I would just encourage people to look forward to having a prosperous and abundant new year, and looking for ways that you and your family can, you know, strive and thrive next year. I wouldn't focus so much on the negative. There's a lot of that out there to go around. And yes, we do know that we are facing many challenges, but I do feel like with optimism, a positive attitude, and the right mindset, that we're all going to be fine and we're going to make it through this new year. So, again, thank you to everyone for joining me tonight for the last live stream of 2020. I hope that you all have the best new year that you can possibly have. I hope that everyone is going to take the time to spend some time with their family this holiday season, whether it be on a Zoom call or home with your family. Please take this time to enjoy family and focus on the things that are important in life. All of those other things can wait. We can deal with that, or let right now be the time that we take to spend that time with our families. Again, thank you all for watching.